What's up, metalheads? And the Metal Block is back with episode 25. You know, we normally talk about metal and music and everything. I'm doing album reviews, but guess what? We're going to do something a little different. My other passion is comic books. You know, I'm a big comic book geek, and I found the perfect comic book geek twin. His name is Jesse Blaze Snider. Some of you might know who he is. I'm sure a lot of you do. For those who don't, let's say his dad is a very famous frontman of one of the greatest rock and metal bands of all time, Twisted Sister. But you know what? It's not about that. It's about his new book that he's got. It's a crazy-ass book. It's called Fucking For Our Future, and we're going to talk about it and what it's all about. He's the writer, the co-creator, and see what else he's got going on in life. All right? So here we are. Right after this, we'll be back with Jesse Blaze Snider. Welcome to the Metal Block. Guest interviews, top 10s, top 20s, album reviews, and more. Now here is your host, Eric. We are live. Jesse Blaze. Well, we're not live, but we're taping, but we're going to be up right after this. Yeah,
we're alive.
We are alive.
Yeah.
Jesse Blaze. Jesse Blaze Snider now. Yeah. When you tagged me on Twitter, like, it was funny because like that's why I loved, like, when I saw that, you know, you tagged me all in this big caps and you're promoting your book. And what drew me to it was like, wow, here's a dude that's like freaking very passionate about his art, his creation. And he's very loud about it. And so I got to have this guy on, you know, because I'm a comic book geek. And, you know, I mostly do a lot of music on here, but I've been wanting to get around to doing some comic book oriented stuff because that's my second passion is music and comics.
I like music too, so it's kind of perfect.
Yeah, and you being a musician too. And it was funny. And it was funny because that, and then after I looked you up a little bit, I was like, wait a second, this is the son of, because the last name, I didn't put the two and two together at first. But for the audience,
yeah,
where do we know you from?
Well, you know, I mean, well, with me, you can know me from a million places. You know, I mean,
yeah.
I've been on television since I was 17 or 19 as a host for MTV2, and you know, and then I did AOL Music's Top 11 Countdown, and I was a DJ on Long Island on a couple different radio stations, and then I went into voiceovers. But I've been seeing a lot with my family on lots of different reality type shows, including a reality singing competition called Rock the Cradle. That
I was going to talk to you about it a little bit later as we get into that.
Second, you know, the best place to be. Records. I didn't have to sell my soul to Jive Records. And, when I came across the clip of Cradle or Rock the Cradle, right? So I missed that series when it came out because, like, okay, so a little bit about me. I battled addiction. I was in a band in LA, did the whole band thing, got a little bit famous, not too famous, but just we built a good following. But I got so sucked in my addiction to where I ended up having to leave and everything. But during that time is when you're the Growing Up Twisted came out, and then Rock the Cradle, and I missed all of that. So then so as I'm looking you up and stuff, I'm watching those clips now. But I came across the one where you were doing. We're not going to take it, but you slowed it down, and they were all giving you pushback about it, saying, "No, it's not going to work." Even your dad was saying, "No, I don't think it'll work," but it did. And I was wondering, like, you know, because later on, your dad actually ended up doing a piano version of it. I was wondering, do you think he was maybe inspired to thought, like, okay, it does work because you made it work, you know? Well, the true story there is, me and my family have done a lot of reality television.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've produced things. You know, my brother Cody's an award-winning filmmaker, and we all work together as a production team on different things that, you know, we've done, especially, you know, when we were all together in the same house and a little bit closer in age.
Yeah.
So we set all that up. You know, I called and I told my dad I had an idea.
Yeah.
An idea that I wanted to subvert the expectation, make it seem like I was going to go like the Crosby Loggins route and do this acoustic thing, and then like surprise everybody. I'm like, that's a fucking great idea. I think we should be in on it. You know, like what we could pitch the producers on shooting a thing, because they were doing things to help Crosby because they were painting him as the good guy and I was the bad guy. I was the cocky, whatever. I mean, they would interview me for hours. In order to get a couple clips of me being a little bit negative towards, like, they would ask me questions over and I'd be like, yeah, you know, Akiva didn't really have the best night. You know, she's such a great singer, and like, you know, she just didn't quite get it last night.
You know, it would just always be kind of nice, you know, because I'm nice. They would sit there and they would be like, "Can you just say Akiva had a really terrible night last night," and then whatever else you were going to say, and then I'd watch that night, and they'd be like, "Akiva had a terrible night last night," and I'd be like, "What? You're like trying to make me look bad." So they literally had Crosby on charity, like he was doing charitable things, and with a charity, and they told us we couldn't do it. So we were like, this shit. So at a certain point, when the We're Not Gonna Take It thing came up, we were like, yeah, two could play at this game. Our own little fun things. You know? So that was what really happened there. But yeah, it was just a good idea that, you know, just got amplified by the family creativity, and that's really the thing about the Snider family is that my family is fucking talented, man.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. I know, like, isn't your brother like a comedian or he's a producer or something too? Like
my father, I mean, my mother is like the most talented member of the family. He's got, you know, college degrees up the yin yang for, you know, well, not college degrees, but like barbershop license, and you know, she graduated FIT for design, and then she went to school for makeup, and you know, she's a fine artist who does makeup, so she can do like incredible stuff, like the
she helped design Twisted Sister's look, right?
Design all the Twisted Sister looks. I mean, so she's like a powerhouse, and like our house, you know, at Christmas is just like custom decorated, you know, everything, designer, everything. So I mean, we're just all sort of surrounded by inspiration artistically, you know, whether it's our mother who is just making everything, you know, life, you know, beautiful, and father who's, you know, been doing it on a major level. So we were just all real overachievers. And yeah, and Shane has done a ton of different things. I mean, he's really kind of bounced around. He's very eclectic, and he's kind of maybe taken a step away from that stuff because he's found he was a little bit interested. We definitely got pushed in that direction.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Like I would have been a producer of music as opposed to an artist. I would have been a editor in comics as opposed to a writer. But all those things were kind of like more like what was being pointed to me. Like I remember I wanted to be a drummer, and my parents were like, "Nah, you can't sing and be a drummer." And I was like, "Who says I can sing?" I'm like I didn't. Like I'm like, oh, I'm like, I want to be a drummer. You know, so, but like that idea, the subtlety was no, we got to put you out in front. And I was always nervous as hell. It's funny, you know, we were talking about, or you're talking about bringing on somebody who's like passionate about their thing and believes in what they're doing. You know, it took such a long time for me to get to that point. And you know, and I mean, the thing that really made me make peace with it, and I was so glad I went on a stream the other day, and somebody noticed this and said this, and they said, you know, there's a lot of people out there who go out and they talk about their stuff, but you talk about other people too.
That's good.
And you know, and I mean, I spend every Monday night, I do a show called All Your Favorite Bands Suck.
I saw that a little bit. I was going to ask you about that. I like that.
Spotlight on all of my favorite bands. So we're 30 into it. I've got at least 100 and something like that I'll be doing. I'm eventually bringing some friends to do some of their favorite bands. You know, we don't know how to say it. You know, but it's just a show, like, you know, people are like, I don't know how to get into them. I'm like, start with this album, listen to these songs, then go to this, you know, like, and that's it. It's just me fucking gushing for, you know, an hour about some band. And then every Wednesday, Saturday, well, sometimes I'm tearing apart the way Hollywood is destroying geek culture, but cool live, you know, other times I do big features on like long things, but it's like the Disney Afternoon or fucking, what did I do? The Masters of the Universe, and you know, sort of why, you know, what the real deep love is, why people who appreciate it as deeply as they do, and all the artists and stuff who were involved, you know, the ground level that really kind of built it into something that, you know, people just appreciate. And sculpture, man, you know, sculpture is such a cool thing for me. So, and then every Saturday I fucking spend, you know, 15 minutes or so recommending a television show or movie that people might not have seen.
Okay, good.
So I mean, like, my life is love. I love things, but I love them at a very high level, you know, and I really want things to be great. I want things to be better. And I've spent my whole life studying writing. And I could have wanted to film if I wanted to, but that wasn't something I wanted to do because I didn't really like the superficial world that was. And I like craftsmen. So, you know, I read a lot of comics. And when I decided I was going to be a writer, I decided, you know, I was going to write comics.
How old were you when you found out that writing was your thing? Or like, did you find out writing before singing?
I was thinking about being a comic book artist.
Okay.
I started writing a bit, you know, I wrote like a short story that got into like the school magazine kind of thing, and like some poems. I always wrote poems, like poems. I was always writing songs, melodies since I was like before I could talk. I was just always, you know, singing. singer. MTV was on all the time. There's always this music on, so I was running around just like I do that too. You know, I'm gonna make music as well. So, so I was always like doing that, and I would get, you know, acknowledged for my poetry and stuff like that sometimes. And I would write for the newspaper, you know, features and shit for the school newspaper. I like to write. And I played RPGs and things like that. So like stories and stuff. That was definitely becoming something that was really like cool for me. And I was an artist and I wanted to draw comics, but I had a terrible art teacher. I went from like a really great art teacher to a really awful one who wanted me to start from scratch in all these rudimentary art classes where he was doing things that I was doing before I ever took an art class, like at home. I was 10, you know, because I like to draw, you know, copying a picture upside down.
Yeah, that's how I was. I was an artist for, I'm still an artist, but I just haven't drawn in a long time because I've just been doing music mostly in this. You know?
It was kind of the fun shit that you do in the beginning if you just start art. And he was like, and there was like 3 classes that he wanted me to take, and he was a dick. I hated him. I was taking the fucking fashion class, and I was taking computer art. So the computer art I really liked, and I really liked the teachers. So a little bit more into that, and I still do that to this day. Like fucking For Our Future Art campaign, I did all that, all the I did all that stuff. You know, my partnership with my artist is like, hey, you do the art, you know, I'll write the scripts, and we'll, you know, collaborate this together, and then I'll take it from there, and I'll, you know, blow this shit up, and you just help make sure that I have the elements that I need to do it. So, you know, so it's really nice when you could do that. Actually, the Kickstarter thing is kind of equalized things between writers and artists in comics, which is cool. But anyway, just to, you know, to wrap it up, I had this incredible teacher, and there's this a quote on my Twitter that really means something to me, and the quote was, "There's a place in this world for writing like yours, Jesse."
Okay.
And this came from a person who was very refined. I learned the word accoutrement. Did we bring all of our accoutrement?
Is that French? It sounds like French, huh?
she would be, you know, the person correcting your English, how you like that person you would see in the movie going, oh my God, I never want a teacher like that. You know? But she wasn't like rude or anything. She was just, this is an English class. We're going to learn English, and we're going to speak proper English, and we're going to, you know, we're really going to. And what she had was a class called Independent Writing for Publication. And she had collected every contest across the country and that a child, you know, could submit to. And all along, every assignment that we had was submitted to some sort of publication, a contest, or whatever it might have been. And everybody ended up winning something. You know, every writer, they got published somewhere. I got published a lot. And really, really encouraged me as a writer, you know, because of how
because you built up that momentum, and then
I was published in Teen Ink magazine a bunch of times. I got published in Tuesday for Fresh Voices, which an actual newspaper. You know, in my school they performed my comedy. I did a 1-act play, and they performed my comedy play. You know, I've always been very diverse and eclectic, and my writing, like across the board, the way I think and do, like I was being rewarded for being a poet and a songwriter. I was being rewarded for being an essayist. You know, like my college essay got, it was a runner-up in Emerson's annual college writing competition. I was thinking about going there for a little bit. My dad scared me about leaving my little sister behind, so I went somewhere more local. But yeah, you know, like that class and that teacher, and I was terrified. The first time I handed her something that wasn't a poem, that was like, because I was breaking rules. Like for me, it was about tell me what the rules are so I could figure out how to intellectually break them down.
Yeah, and that's how to do it, man.
Like, you know, like I know this is the way it is, but that familiar way that you're so familiar with, you're going to love my new way because of your familiarity with the old way, you know? And that's how you do it. You know, you build on the foundations of the thing and you say something really clever and smart. And that's when the smart and clever people go.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I loved about, like, when I was a kid and getting, you know, I was always into Spider-Man. It's always been my favorite superhero since I saw him on the Electric Company when I was a little, like 5 years old, right?
Was Spider-Man the Electric Company?
Yeah, he was that's the first time I ever saw. He was like 1970. I'm 56, so it was definitely before your time. Yeah. And it was like, you know, so, but then I got out, you know, I was always collecting comic books, but when Todd McFarlane came out with that Spider-Man and just the way he approached it, and he broke the rules. Like he's like,
oh yeah,
you know, he went outside the box, outside the panels, and then I loved what he did was how he's like, you know what, fuck you guys, I'm going on my own. I'm taking 6 of your other artists with me, and we're gonna form Image Comics, and you know,
yeah.
and
You know what's
it
really
was
funny? I mean, because it says something about that time, you know, that like because this is just 2 instances of it, but I'm sure there's other stories like this. But it says something about those guys and what they had in them to go and do that in the first place. You know, your story, and then there's another story that builds on that, which was Eric Larson. He took over, and he's got to draw this Venom. At a certain point, there's like this tongue, and like, you know, and he thinks it's stupid, and he hates Venom's design. He thinks it's just a fucking stupid character. You know, it just kind of looks like Spider-Man, but he's in black or whatever. And he just starts drawing the tongue longer and longer.
I remember that.
Adding drool, and you know, it just keeps getting gnarlier and gnarlier. And his telling him to stop, and he just keeps on doing it. It's just, and I mean, and that's sort of just like, nah, man, like, let's push the envelope. And I don't think Eric even knew that like this was going to be a thing that people would like. It definitely says something about the way that they were like playing the game. They were like, oh, fuck this, come on, let us have fun, man. You know,
comics were fun around that time in the '90s, especially like when it was just getting all like, especially with the Layfield stuff and the.
You know, I love that stuff.
Yeah, me too. I was like, you know,
there's tons of great artists and great books and stuff. And I mean, Liefeld stuff. I mean, you know, Liefeld's fun to make fun of, but
that's what I noticed. Like,
he definitely had something about his work, man. Something about it's fucking cool. And I mean, you know, to this day, he's a little rough around the edges from where he used to be, but like he was just channeling something, you know, and like, you know, boom, you know, these images.
Yeah, I mean, and if you think about it, regardless of like whether an anatomy right or not, he created a look that where you know that's him when you see it. And if you see other artists that kind of look like his, it'll say, oh, they must be a Liefeld influence, you know.
What proved to me how good he really was Alex Ross did a paint over of like the X-Force kind of thing, and he used all of Liefeld's shading and stuff. He made it real.
And I gotta see that.
When I saw it, I went, fuck, man. Because one, that is the way. That's the sign of a true artist. He drew an artist that other artists make fun of, and he didn't make it look dumpy. Elevated the dude's thing and proved how cool and good Rob Liefeld's style was by to another level. And when you saw it done by Alex Ross, you were like, wow, there's something to how here. This is cool. You know, really, it's worth a little Google to try to find the image. It's like an Alex
I'm going to look for that.
I was blown away, and it just really told me something about Alex Ross, which I love. Alex Ross. I never got to meet him, but the only reason why I ended up working on the Evil Ernie revival at Dynamite was because Alex Ross had read my Hulk one shot that I did for Marvel, and he talked me up to Nick Barucci. So Nick Barucci was like, "So you know, Alex Ross was saying you're pretty good," and I was like, "What? Who? Said who? Repeat? Alex fucking Ross? What are you doing?" I was like, well, that was like better than anything. Probably that is probably the best moment for me of all of my, you know, comic experiences, and most of them have been like sort of collaborative. You know, Marco Cicchetto was the first artist that I ever worked with, and the first Marvel assignment he ever did. It was both of our first gig, and he's a big artist now. And you know, he loves me. He's helped me get some work, and I love him. He's just the sweetest guy ever. And you know, and having a nice relationship with everybody that you work with is great. Artist like freaking Alex Ross, read your thing and go, I read the story and it was incredible, Nikki. To some like, I'm like, fucking what? Professional telling somebody to do something to change my career. And that ended up being an unfortunate situation only because I'm very good friends with Brian Polito. I've known him since I was very young.
I got him on my Facebook.
Rough for him, and they wouldn't let me credit him and Adam Hughes for creating the book. And then he was avoiding me at conventions. Yes, I was at a lunch with my friend, and I realized that he was sitting at a table and he was trying to keep me from seeing him. And I went, no. Like he's like a father figure to me. I've known him since I was a teenager. He worked on a little Fangoria, a Strangeland like insert, like a DVD release or something that Chaos. Very end of Chaos Comics they did, and he used to let me leave my suitcase at his booth when I would bus ride to Chicago Comic-Con to go harass Eric Larson, and then they would let me leave my bag in their booth because I would only go for one day and I would have one hotel. You know, I didn't have anywhere to put it. I couldn't do it. I was a fucking teenager. I was like 16 years old the first did that, and I did that for like 3 years, and that's where I would keep all my stuff, and they would invite me to all their parties, and the Chaos Comics people were like some of the sweetest, most down to earth, cool people, really, really good to each other. It was a wonderful community. It was kind of like
Lady Death, Evil Ernie, all that shit.
Yeah, it's like so much of like what I hope like the future holds for geek culture, you know, and what I want, the future that I want to create with my company, you know, Blacklight District Studios. So we're a boutique comic book company and you know, music studio. The first thing that we did, which you can still find it if you go to blacklightdistrict.co.
Yeah.
There's it's .co, not .com. It's .co, but we've got it's an art installation is up there, and it's the 6 comics that we did. It was released by Image Comics in 2016, and there's 6 songs that go with them, and you hit play and follow along with the comics. It's like kind of a psychedelic experience. It's very cool. But we got Jason Pearson before he passed away. We've got well, this is some of the back issues that are available. We're reoffering Blacklight District Studios, but like I'm going to be doing like a reprint on it based on when we go to print for For Our Future.
They're definitely cool looking.
Yeah, and then this is all the covers that we did for King of Kings. That was this was the other exclusives that we had for that campaign. So King of Kings #2 is going to be the next one that we're going to be working on. But that's the what's left over stock. But there's only 100 copies printed over. I think I only have like 100 copies left. So you know, I mean, I very purposely my goal with like all these print runs is like sell out and then make a new print run. You know, it's become relatively economical to print in short supply. So I just print short so that the actual books that the people get are worth something. You know, it's not hard to do that. And if I'm creative with the reprints that I do and I make them cool and valuable in their own way, well, then you'll keep my reprints. If they love stuff and whatnot, you know, I can keep reselling that stuff. And I never stop that thing of like every one of the thing ends up being valuable. Oh yeah, but this one has 8 extra pages of fucking backup material or whatever. Or this one's got the cool glow in the dark cover and they only did, you know, 100 of those. You know, so it's like, it's really, I think, easy to make this collector's hobby really fun and economical and worthwhile for everybody. The fact that it's been so manipulated and done so poorly to a point where like it's so meaningless from the big comic book companies because they overprint these things so much and then they print them and then they sell them under the table and like there's so many things that go on.
Different covers and
it's really, really messed up. So
how many titles do you have altogether for Blacklight District?
Right now, this is our 4th project, our 2nd Kickstarter, our 4th project. The 2 things that we did was the Blacklight District Studios thing, which Image ended up releasing. I had built this company like 10 years ago, and it's funny now. There's like a lot of indie companies who are hiring Chuck Dixon. I was trying to do that at the time. That was the 4th project that I was about to start at that time. I had just taken Chuck out to dinner. I had just reached out to Scott McDaniel, and we were working on trying to put something together for them that would be really cool and get the money behind it so that like we could do something. And I was putting all my own money in this, and I ended up just kind of going through a series of calamities from just losing my big job at the time. I was the voice of Kia Motors. I'm a very big voiceover actor, or you know, big in the way where a lot of people know me, whether they know it or not. You know, I remember buying a Kia is one smart move.
Oh, okay, yeah. Cool.
I did all of their commercials for a very long time. Pizza Hut and GameStop and Cheeto. What more taste? Get America's favorite pizza. Pizza Hut.
Oh, nice.
They're still doing an impression of me on every GameStop commercial, which used to be pre-order Madden, get good sooner. GameStop.
Oh, nice. Now, do you get royalty checks for those? Like every time they run the commercial?
No, not anymore. But I did when they would run. So I would make a lot of money. Those big things. I mean, I do video games. I've done animation. I've done books. And I narrate. You know, I'm still the voice of Food Paradise on Travel Channel within 200 episodes.
Yeah, so, I always wonder like what kind of deals are for those like deals like where they just pay you all up front and where they just
like when I'm narrating for Food Paradise, I'll make a nice chunk of money at that time. And it's a amount of work, you know, it's I mean, really exhaustive sort of work, you know, 4 hours just projecting, and like, you know, whatever. I mean, granted, you know, me, I'm pretty fast. So I mean, like, you know, I'll get through those things. Sometimes it can be like a 4-hour session. Usually you book that long, you know, for those things to get them done. But generally speaking, I tend to be pretty quick, especially with people who, will let me work with them. Cause like, the less preparation I have, the better I can, like, I intuit things. And when I'm reading it on the fly, I can make it sound very natural in a organic kind of way because I'm just kind of discovering it. And then I can get an even better read of just refining that from there in like 3 takes. And I got to talk to my producers about it. And they were like, man, you are so right about that because I know after all these years of doing it, I always pick either take 1 or take 3. And I'm like,
nice.
I know, I know what I'm doing. So
all right.
very good voiceover actor. I kind of got like quietly run out of the business by DEI, as my brother did, and so many other white males have gotten run out of the business.
Oh, really?
Has taken a very severe pivot, and if you're not in like Flynn in a certain way, shape, or form, and voiceovers, I don't have any fucking power. Nobody knows who Jesse Blaze Snider is, even though you've heard my voice a million fucking times. And I get a decent credit here or there on Smithsonian Channel or some Food Paradise episodes or whatever it might be. But like, you're not like a star. I kind of love that shit though. I mean, like I only ever wanted respect. I wasn't interested in being famous. I see what that really is, and like it's fucking bullshit. But respect is, I see that too, and respect is worth it.
To me, put the creativity out there, and then like if it gets respect or even kind of fame, that's just icing on the cake. The fact that you're doing it for yourself,
Yeah. So I mean, I like it. That wasn't what I was like planning on doing, and at all. I kind of fell into it. I was good at it. Very good with my voice. I'm an English major, so I know how to write. I know how to write dialogue, so I know what they sound like it's supposed to sound. And I've got a really good ear. I've been studying comedy since I was a little kid. I recommend that to writers all the time. Study comedy because there's just timing. How people say things, the exaggerated version of how somebody might say things to make it funny and to make what is happening really obvious.
That makes sense.
You learn what the song is that you do really quickly without thinking about it all the time. So that you can write dialogue that feels right, like all this stuff. So just something about listening to comedy that brings out a lot of lessons about communication.
Because that brings me to the book that you are here promoting. This is your fourth. You say it's your fourth book. It's a fucking crazy title. Fucking For Our Future. What is this about?
Let me say before I say about Fucking For Our Future. I got into this crazy position. Like I went through a divorce and I had multiple fires and I lost my job, and so I did the whole thing. And then I tried to fundraise for King of Kings because I had made King of Kings. I had made that, and then I had made Mythic Legions, which is the Four Horsemen Studios, the toy makers. They have this great line of fantasy action figures, but we kind of got in there too early, and there wasn't enough people who wanted the book, and I didn't phone it in. I spent what I needed to spend to make it awesome, and we hired Greg Weissman, and we got really great artists to do the thing, and we did something that really cost a lot of money and really like tanked my business. And then we got shadow banned on Indiegogo.
Oh, damn.
So, I didn't know it at the time. I found out like 3 or 4 years later, and I went, "You mean I don't suck?" They just fucked me. So I came back, a bunch of years later, and I went, "All right, here we're going to do this again. We're going to do it on Kickstarter this time." And last time, we got across the finish line, and we did our thing. But this time, Fucking For Our Future, has been really designed for the market. There's like 3 main markets in Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Fund My Comics, all these spheres, and it's like personal politics or personal identity shit, like whether it's like you're part of the gay community, you're part of the ladies, something, something for the ladies, something for the blacks, something for the Hispanic community, that's like a genre, something for the whites doesn't go over very well. Not that I have any interest in that, but then there's also this nostalgia thing, which is fun and can be fun, depending if you get the right idea or whatever else. But what really sells like gangbusters, kind of guaranteed every time, even when it sucks, is these nude books, which usually kind of erotic books, or what they would be called. I would not call our book erotic.
Call it hentai, right?
Nudity. I wouldn't really call it hentai either. We have a hentai inspired cover because those sell. And it's funny, it's cute. She's hallucinating on mushrooms, whatever it might be. It's just these funny imaginings of these things. She's out in the world. Every one of our covers, even though there's nudity, they're all funny. These are our expanding boob covers. The nudity isn't real. It's a power armor that this girl is piloting into the wilderness to collect samples from these men. Because as the story goes, 1,000 years ago on planet Guan, the men and the women went their separate ways. And the women went up north and they used their sex robots, which had become really highly developed at that time because the men and the women were not getting along. So, of course, the sex robot industry was huge. So now they like repurpose their sex robots to, you know, plow fields and kill monsters. And, you know, they make themselves a matriarchal paradise up north using cloning. And the men go celibate and they get super smart and they crack open their genetic code. They make themselves asexually reproduce and they turn themselves into these Bigfoot creatures and move off into the wilderness. And one of the last things they do is they eliminate penis envy for all time by making each subsequent generation of three-legged man, as they're now called.
Yeah, I was reading a sample where the ape looking dude with the 3 legs. Or the, you know.
A little bit bigger than the last. So 1,000 years later, 1,000 generations of these men, some of the men's penises have become so large that they've been forced to move into the ocean. And now, roam Glon's seas in renewed freedom.
Nice.
You know, so it's really a Wile E. Coyote cartoon. And the woman in the power armor, you know, who's the princess of Glon, who volunteered for this because, you know, she wanted to show that she had worth and nobody else wanted to volunteer for this.
Yeah.
Nobody will volunteer, I'll do it. So she's this sweet princess who's an idealist like me. And it's funny, like people have been talking about self-inserts and I hate self-inserts. But actually, I've never felt more of a connection to any character that I've ever written before than the Princess House. Because, well, one, I love all my characters, and it just so happens that really what she's doing is just for the greater good. She's like, this there's a need for this, you know, like we can't have our society fall. You know, I'm a princess, and I know people think that like everything's easy in my life, and I don't want people to think that about me. I want people to know that I care about them and that I'm working hard every day to make this world a better place because I was here. You know, and that I've never had a character who felt that way because that's how I feel. I feel like I've been given some sort of position in people's minds, and I want them to all know that, like, nah, man, like my goal is to make sure the world's better because I was here. You know? And that's what this chick is about. So
that's what's cool is you infuse yourself into this, where it's going to come across that way when people read it.
Yeah, well, and I think it's like maybe the most meaningful part of myself, honestly, and it's such a meaningful part of her and who she is. And that it makes it all the more funny and tragic and silly and whatever else, because she's taking this very seriously. But she's in a Wile E. Coyote cartoon and she doesn't know.
Cool.
And it's not her fault. You know, these are the sins of the parents, you know. Queen Dickhouse, who led them astray back in the day. And, you know, I have all these great little things that I'll eventually be getting in, you know, to the thing. Like, I want her to be into classic movies.
Cool.
From before they split. She likes these romance movies. And, you know, she starts like watching them, you know, to figure out how to lure the men. Men haven't seen a woman in 1,000 years. They have no interest in these women whatsoever. There's like, you know, there's a lot of different things that we're going to play with, but it's just like they're not interested in sex. And it's too late. It's a cautionary tale. And it's like, hey, men and women, maybe we should work on this stuff now. And all we did is like we gave modern feminism what it wanted, and we gave modern anti-feminism what it wanted. You know, it's like, we're only building a society because of you. Let's go back to the wilderness. You know,
can you see that? Can you see this book kind of pissing off a certain group of people at all? Or
no, I actually really don't think it will. And I keep sending it to women a little bit like shy because like
thinking like what are they gonna say?
It's really so innocent. And the women are, you know, I'm being legit, you know, like we're going into New Glon and there are a lot of women acting like dudes. And that's the reality, you know, masculine energy, feminine energy, it goes both ways. I'm a feminine type guy a lot of the times, you know, and then sometimes I got to be masculine, you know, there's different energies. And there are some people who are fucking arguing about their stupid golf scores during political debates. And that's toxic masculinity. If I were Joe Biden, I might have said, I'm sorry, guys. Are we serious here? I didn't know that. Competition. You know, I thought we were trying to get the people most like Gandalf here. Wise words and the reasoned measure in every situation. You know, that's the right answer, Joe. And that's the answer that so many people are waiting for. And, you know, for me, one day I will go into politics and I'll do that. So, I mean, you know, I'd probably more be a supporter of other people who want to do that and really be somebody actually participating in the fucking process. But in my own way so that I don't have to be fucking.
Is that an exclusive that Jesse Blaze Snider will be run for president 2028?
I don't know. I'll probably say no, never that soon. You know, for me, it's really about changing the culture. I believe the meek will inherit the earth. Really, like, have always felt like these are my brothers. We play D&D and we play Rifts and all these other role-playing games, and we're smarter because we've walked ourselves through lots of different scenarios. We've learned how to be really empathetic. How's this going to make this character feel? How's that going to make that character feel? We play with toys. Hey, bang! Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that either. Bang! You know, it teaches empathy. How does he feel about this? What is his reaction to this? What is their reaction to this?
Yeah.
Stories and fantasy. That's what that shit does. And we are humbler than these arrogant fucks who are largely like, I need to be in front of the camera, and I didn't feel like I need to be in front of the camera. Put me there.
I need my name on this and that. No.
In every instance, for me, I was invited. Like, you know, the hosting gig that I started, you know, MTV. An agent met me at a party and said, "Yeah, get you work on television." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "I think so." And I went, "Okay,
you're a natural."
Whatever.
Like this shit too.
I'll give it a try. And you know, it was something that I was good at, you know, so I kept doing it. But you know, that thing of you're forcing it, I'm not about that.
Now, you being in the comic book world and the music world, what's your thoughts on the current state of AI? Because I'm seeing a lot of, you know, people, especially my comic book friends, are talking about how artists are like, you know, like these AI is actually ripping off different artists, you know, to create these images, and you know, they're struggling themselves trying to get paid, and you got people paying for AI.
I don't care.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. However it happens, you just got to still do what you got to do, man.
Well, and I mean, I'll explain my I don't care. One, the fucking reality, man. And two, there's a whole bunch of different things. You know, when this AI is creating a song, it's putting the brains that they've seen thus far together. Making a thing. When I make a song, it's inspiration.
Same here.
Inspiration is different than calculation.
Yep.
Calculation will only ever be so good. And you can train an AI to not be calculating, but they're not smart enough to do that. And they're not smart enough to do that for a very long time. So I'm not fucking worried about AI at all. AI is going to separate the men from the fucking boys. People really want to do it. The people really want to fucking try. People really want to learn to do something that is unique and awesome because it is there for you to do. You could still be Art Adams. You could still be Ethan Van Sciver. You could still be Brian Bolins or Frank Miller or Simon Bisley or any of these fucking great people. Jason Pearson. The fucking AI can't invent Jason Pearson. It can copy Jason Pearson and it can mix in Matt Groening.
Do you think it really actually does like hurt a lot of these artists, like maybe getting work in the industry, because people would rather go with a simpler task of just getting an AI artist or AI prompter, if you will?
Well, that's the thing, and this is why, you know, people, it just has to change the way people are thinking about art. There's a lot of people just slide into sort of like, I make little crappy reproductions of manga and I sell them online. Yay! I'm like, sorry guys, like that's gone. You know, like you can do that for yourself, but before I kind of felt like you should be doing that for yourself. I don't really understand. Like I'm glad for people who would buy it, but like the fact that like it's like money in the arts should be going to so many wonderful artists, and it doesn't. Because once we get into the systems, we get stuck away from these things, and it ends up being more like a con game going on between really novice artists and people who are willing to be charitable towards them. Which is a lot of what's going on right now in like the indie comic industry. Because when I go on Kickstarter, I'm basically it's the exact same playing field for me as everybody else. You know, and like people are like, oh well, you have I don't. They lock us up on social media unless you put money into the post. It's all a matter of will they let it through the system. And the book For Our Future, well, let's say that it hasn't necessarily been the easiest to get through, but
you got 277 backers, huh? Like 8,000. Yeah, that's
but
good.
I mean, we're getting there. I mean, we have another 400 who are watching. I mean, but I'm not going to be happy until we make $100,000. Because
when does the campaign end? Like as far as like
66 hours left or something like that.
Okay.
So I got a couple of big YouTube channels that I'm hopefully going to be getting on right before it ends. Like I'm going to Film Thread on Monday. It ends, I think, Tuesday afternoon. So you know, whatever's normal that'll make the most sense for you to put it out at before then would be great.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it up tonight. And I'll put all the descriptions and the links and stuff in the descriptions for anybody who's watching. Click on it and get that book, and always support independent artists. Just support the arts and music.
Thank you. It is so cool. We did a jingle. My band Dilf USA. We did a jingle called Big Titties. Actually, it'd be really funny. You want to play it? Did you watch?
Let me play. I did pull that up, so let's check it out. This is the trailer with the jingle, and I love the chorus.
Nobody doesn't like big titties. Say it again. Men and women alike love big titties. Boys, girls, and babies love big titties. Just admit that I'm right. You love big titties. Yes.
Who doesn't?
You love big titties. Love big titties. I love big titties. I love big titties. I love big titties. We want you. For our future. Sign up for notifications now on Kickstarter. You love big titties. Only from Blacklight District Studios.
Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
I'm so glad with how it came out. I mean, for me, it was all about like, well, if I'm doing this, no shame. Like
that's something. Yeah, and that's something AI cannot give us. This is the real shit.
It is something AI can't give you. AI can think outside the box.
Yeah.
And it can combine things, and it can do all sorts of variations of stuff that it's seen before, but it can't give you things that it's never seen before. And and that's the key. And there'll always be work for really good artists who know how to write and are inspired. Because
and I was going to ask you, how did you meet Dizzy Arnold, and where's Dizzy Arnold known? Has he done
Dizzy
other books?
Arnold is in disguise. He's a Marvel artist, and he put his name on the book. And actually, so nobody noticed it, but just like for fun, on the commercial, like on the site, we have all these different covers by all these different.
I noticed that.
It's a Shigeuni, and all the only one of our variant cover artists who is
Okada or Okadaya
is Todd Blackwood. Our Todd Blackwood cover is my buddy Todd Blackwood. All the other ones are Dizzy Arnold, who is in multiple disguises because he's really good at doing like style copies.
Yeah.
He's so good. He and I have been friends for a very long time, and we've been able to become good friends over time. That's Todd Blackwood, the head right there.
I want to get that shirt actually.
It's in my mind of this. I wanted to do the Uncle Sam thing, and we hadn't done it. With Dizzy. So when Todd said he wanted to do one, I said, actually, there's a cover that I really want badly. Would you and Uncle Sam inspired?
Yeah, definitely.
And in the second issue, I'm planning on having sort of the backstory of how Princess Dickhouse got this gig, and they're playing a commercial to the Queen, and when the commercial ends, because it ends and it says, we want you fucking for our future.
I love that.
And the Queen says, do you think maybe we should change the slogan?
Yeah.
and then the princess comes in and goes, I'll do it.
Nice.
The moment, but like the slogan "fucking for our future" was what turned off everybody to doing it. I don't know about volunteering for that one. And the princess stepped up to the plate. And eventually there'll be some other people who will volunteer as well to like that's one of the things that eventually there'll be a fleet, because I want her to inspire a generation of some of the other young people on Planet Glon to help. It's been hard, and she'll do a press conference. She's like, but I really want you guys to know that you're not alone, and whatever. And then all of a sudden, a crop of people show up, and so I love it because it's within every story, it's where there's a need, and this is why I say there's no reason for any woman to not like it. It's it is a mistake to overcorrect and completely separate from the men. That's a bad idea. Most people don't think that that's a good idea. And, and it is a good idea to look at things, how they've been and how they are now, and try to think about a better future and a better way of doing things that might not lead to the same exact gridlock and trouble that we've had in the past.
Yeah,
I think society has become too smart for this anymore. You know, it's like certainly me and my friends within the geek culture community are. We, you know, the emperor has no clothes, and we know it. And I think it's time for us to come out of the shadows with our intellects intact and go, look, we've been paying attention, and everything is rotten. Like this must be done, and it's going to require minds and people who have are on the autism spectrum, because we're not so fucking dark as you motherfuckers. You know, all of these egotistical sort of ways of thinking that lead to such darkness. And all these, you know, people so easily manipulated and so easily blackmailed, and you know, it's a dark, shitty world that we've been living in when we let, you know, a capitalist mindset reign. Capitalism isn't bad, but when it's run by people who recognize it as some sort of game, you know, play. Well, that's nope, it is now. It's bad
like
now.
Real life Monopoly game and shit.
Yeah, it's not real life Monopoly. That's bad. You know, if capitalism was what it's supposed to be at its heart, where we're going like, may the best quality product win. Well, I'm in right now. You know, but I'm in a murk with everybody else. You know, it's like there's no approval process on Kickstarter that all of a sudden puts me into an upper tier because I have credits at mainstream companies. Whatever. You know, there's no organization system. If I go rogue and I'm independent with all of them. So I mean, it's very funny and interesting. And you know, I keep shouting. It's like whether you support me or not, support independent artists.
Independent artists,
like get behind them. If you hear somebody who's saying something I'm not saying, you know, that you really like, there's a guy that's kind of has some of the things you're saying, just but really doing it the way I want. Man, like
we're in a time where there's so much do-it-yourself artists and creators and musicians, and so people don't have any excuse of like not finding something good and new out there. Like, you know, it used to be like you were told what to look for, what to buy, what to listen to. It's like now that it's a sea of mad. I mean, there's a good side to that the fact that it's open and you can find anything, but then also you got to stand out amongst the sea of
and it's hard to get the people out there.
But that makes it fun.
In terms of like the system thinks of like millions of people at a time, you know, at least thousands, hundreds. You got to think one person at a time.
Yeah.
You got to think I ain't going anywhere, and you got to think I'm gonna be cool and I'm gonna get this right, and I'm gonna keep showing up and then keep getting this right, and they're always gonna be happy to see me. And then, you know, they're going to be glad that they know about this. They're going to be glad that they know about that. And they're going to start telling their friends because they know me and they know the thing and they feel like they're close to it and they feel like they're part of it. You know, in the case of Dilf USA, you know, me and my girl Julie, you know, we've been making these videos together, and part of like the magic of it, you know, and she keeps pointing it out, and you know, I see it completely as well. It's just, you know, we keep bringing in all these people to come help us with the video, and they feel like they're a part of it, and because and part of it is necessity, we need help. You know, but then also we made a concerted effort right from the beginning. We put credits. Credits, and we will write everybody's name down, and like everybody helped us out, and like, you know, thank everybody, and like, you know, and everybody can go watch the music video, and there's a little credit thing. Usually, speaking of music videos, there's never credits. You know, like we'll do a little credit thing, a quick thing, and the song will play again for a second, and you see all these names, and people feel like they're part of it. And I actually learned that a long time ago with a song that I did called "Go With Me." I was from my daughter's christening. It was actually featured in the Growing Up Twisted reality show that we do with my family. It was the first episode of my daughter's christening, and I like sing it live for her. So it was a little bit of a hit for me independently in Canada and in America. And we made a music video that at the time I kind of felt.
That's that ballad song, right? The one you wrote for your daughter. I love that song.
Slumming it or something, but like I felt like I was making a video where like the quality wasn't so great because we just had this simple idea of we were making the video, we were going to just ask people to give us people who they loved, whether it was children or family members, whatever, who they felt like, you know, they went with them everywhere they went, you know, which was like the song.
Yeah, nicely written song.
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, really, the big credit for that one, and this is unlike most of my material, but I always have to make note, is Johnny Black. John, he's such a talented fucking songwriter. He had that song, like, you know, nearly complete. I think maybe without a bridge. I think maybe we wrote the bridge, and I rewrote a lot of the lyrics. Not a lot of the lyrics, a decent amount of the lyrics. And you know, and made some adjustments that I do think earned my keep as a songwriter, as I meant to when we like wrapped it up. But it was beautiful. He had said to me, I had been trying to write this song, and it just wasn't coming out of me because I was like forcing it. You know, my daughter's like, it's the worst time to write when you're like that.
That's right. Yeah, that happens to me. Like if I just let it out, then that's the best shit.
All of a sudden, like I'm a really
forget about it and let it out.
I couldn't get it out of me because I was so focused on it. And and my manager at the time, she said, "Hey, you know, I have a really good friend of mine, and he played this song, and he played it for me. It's just like a demo. but I really feel like it's like what you're looking for. You know, so what do you, would you be willing to? And I was like, well, I mean, you know, I don't have an ego. I mean, if it's really great, I would be willing to do it. And I listened to it and I was like, fucking A, this is exactly what I was looking to do. And then, you know, especially the bridge, which actually ended up being my favorite part of the song, is the sins of the father. You're coming with me. And like, you know, that was one of my contributions, you know, that bit. So like, you know, I got to go in there and do a little bit of work and feel like, you know, it was my song, you know, because did
you create your own vocal melody for, like, in other words, you got the demo, and then would you find yourself, or was there already like kind of a melody already?
Most of the demo, I mean, most of his melody I kept. Some of it, I restructured a little bit of how the hook hit in a way that I felt was just a little catchier. But mostly the verses, you know, a little bit of my inflection or the way that I was doing it, but you know, largely, you know, for me, it's like it was good. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to fuck with that. You know, then it was just are you willing to let me go through this from the beginning and have my daughter in mind and rewrite it, you know, whatever feels right. And, you know, for me, I kept plenty, you know, but because a lot of it was the right flow and everything, but there was key words or key lines, you know, and it was like, okay, now.
A lot of people don't understand. They think like a song, there's a verse, chorus, but the way a song is arranged can make it or break it. And like how that song is arranged. Sometimes even the smallest little tweak can either make it or break it, you know, but you made it, you know.
And I think he had just had a release, like, you know, like a musical release in the song. You hear the song, the bridge is like a total, you know, it's the center of the father, you know, and that's another, you know, the songwriting contributions I was trying to make. All right, and then let's get some dynamic when we go up here. And then, you know, there's an octave jump at the end of the song, you know, which I wanted to do again, you know, just arranging this thing and going, okay, cool, let's do it like this, you know. And that's cool because I you know, 90% of my songs, you know, that I write, you know, they start with me completely. You know, and I'm like figuring them out with a band, you know, figuring them out with my producer, you know, to get everything together. And sometimes depending on, you know, the player, because I'll do swinging, I'll write all kinds of things. And some people aren't able to, can only drum in a few styles. Sometimes you end up with people who actually can't like reproduce the way you were trying to.
The way you hear it and the way
so, I mean, it's very interesting. It's always like a different thing, you know, to do. You know, Johnny Black, you know, he's a singer-songwriter. And he could have released that song and it would have been almost just as beautiful as I think the one that I did. But I think there was an impetus for mine, which really ultimately was what made the whole thing work. Because at the end of the day, what we're really doing is we're channeling energy into the music.
Putting your soul into it.
And he had a good idea about a sweet song that he thought he might be able to sell to a label or whatever, because he was a songwriter and he did that. It was Jesse Blaze Snider coming in with his daughter in his heart and a real meaning, really meaning it, that I'm not there to know, like, you know, I might live a life of travel and all these things, but I don't care. You know, if I'm not there, you need to know, like, you're with me. And that means something to me.
That's powerful.
So I cry saying it. It really meant something to me. And that is what's in the song. So when people hear the song, they're hearing my heart and my soul, that I really meant that very much. And, you know, so I really do think it's just like the match made in heaven. And under normal circumstances, I don't think I ever would have even let somebody else.
It's like, and how old is it? It's about 12 years old, that song, or about 10 years or 9? I think
it's 15 years now.
Yeah. You think it's due for a re-release maybe, huh?
Yeah. You know, we're going to get them to get, you know, get it out again. I think a lot of my stuff is going to be getting, you know, re-released, and the top Dilf USA is maybe going to end up cutting a couple things possibly.
Did you have a solo album like numbers called 16 or something like that? I was like,
there was an album called 16 that I put out. It's not available anymore. It had a ton of different styles and stuff. I had a bunch of things get taken down from the internet a while back, just for some stupid kind of reasons. I wasn't able to get all of it back up. So there's still a lot of things that are missing from there. Some of them you can find on like online, but there's a great kind of industrial techno pop album that I made called The Slip, Love Songs from a Serial Killer. And there's 9 songs, and they're all kind of like AWOL Nation-esque, but all different, you know, kind of Maroon 5-y and shit, but they all have a real edge to them. You know, even though the production is like, you know, it's pretty poppy, but my voice and the lyrical style and what I'm really saying, the choices that are being made are all just a little dark. And when I started to look at it, because it was like, you know, this my manager at the time trying to make me into like this pop artist, and I couldn't help but just make them these dark songs. And I was just like, man, it's like I'm a fucking serial killer or something. And I'm like, oh man, that's it. I'm just gonna put these all together as love songs from a serial killer.
Well, then you got like Billie Eilish came out. Like I remember when I first heard her, like her music, pop or whatever. But then her lyrics were just very dark and like
yeah.
Like, I love that shit.
Mine too. It's very cool. I'm proud of that album, and I mean the majority of that shit is like demos. Things that were never even finished, and have the right sound, and I was sitting on them, and like I didn't have a lot of things released for a long time, and I got so annoyed, so I re-released my band Baptized by Fire's old album that I had co-written the songs with the band, or some of them I wrote myself, and then I put out that Slip thing because that was just kind of stuff I felt was like old that I'd been like sitting on. I just wanted to hear it. And my District thing came out, and then I did a record with my buddy Michael Naranjo called "Come With Me If You Want to Live," and some of the stuff on that I didn't end up being like thrilled with a couple of the productions, and a couple things that were on it that I really liked aren't up right now, but there's a couple songs on it that are pretty amazing. KO and Get Smart. And
I think I saw one. It might have been KO where I think he had Ira Black in it, the guitar player.
Yeah. One of my besties. Cool. I haven't seen Ira in a minute though. But yeah, it's some great stuff. I mean, really, like it's been used for television. Like most of my material has been played on ESPN for many years. College football, Monday Night Football, NASCAR
soundtracks and stuff like that. Yeah.
We ended up getting used to promote the Reach Me movie with Stallone, which was a really cool thing. Stallone.
Oh, cool.
He heard the song in the credits, and he said, "You should use that song to promote the movie." And it was really cool, and they did. So we got paid for that, which was nice. And I mean, that was my whole thing. I was like, "All right, you know what? If I don't want to get signed with one of these labels, how do I make money off of music? What if there's all these advertising budgets and all these film budgets for music? Like, I'll make great music, and I'll slip it into that."
You and your dad ever think about doing something together musically?
I mean, we have here or there. He doesn't know what's good for him.
Yeah.
It's funny. I remember I came to him with something that I really knew was really good for him. Yeah. And he was mortified.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's come to feel as though on some level he's passé.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be passé. And I was like, you are universal. Panther is now as big as any 80s band ever, playing your passé music.
Yeah.
I Want to Rock and We're Not Going to Take It are not passé. They are universal anthems that will stand the test of time.
Yeah, I think so.
I just sang you another one. Like for him, it sounds like been there, done that. And like, I don't want to be an old man. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, if I were to do something with you, what I would do is I would do the shit that I want to fucking hear you say. I want to hear you sing. Do things I'd like to hear you sing. And I know what they are. And I've got to go. I'm sitting on a bunch of them, and I will have you sing them if you'd like to.
You should be like, Dad, just humor me for this. Just trust me on this for a second.
Really, that is what it would come down to. But
what have you got to lose?
He had a better approach for my dad. That my dad was
those last two albums he put out was phenomenal. I think
we can help you to do a modern sound, and I think that was more like my dad doesn't really want to go back in time, and really like that's like if I mess with him, I that's what I want. That's where I want to take him. Like I don't want to make him some modern artist. Like I see him as the god of rock and roll.
Yeah.
It's funny. I just got an idea the other day for how to cover "You Can't Stop Rock and Roll" live in a really cool way, where I want to sing. And I'll do it probably as a recording too. But I want to do "You Can't Stop Destiny." Because that's what the song's about. The song's about destiny. Here it comes. You're never going to top it. On a run. There's no way you can stop it. Total power, perfection and decay. Wild, flat out all the way. It's about fucking the force, man. Destiny. We're going where we're going. The planet is spinning, and you will either be left behind or
I'm sold. You got me sold, man.
Rock and roll. But You Can't Stop Rock and Roll turns it into like a Dunderhead song, like it's a silliness. And it the lyrics in those verses are some of the most meaningful words ever spoken. My song Juggernaut is inspired by that song. That song's one of the most inspiring songs I've ever heard in my life. So I mean, it's like there's so much there that I appreciate about his stuff. But I definitely think that my proclivities towards what I'd like to do with him and what he would like to see done with himself.
Did you ever you get a lot of people probably saying like, what's your favorite album from your dad and this and that? Probably
I mean, it's more like, oh
Yeah.
It tends to be not so deep. I would appreciate it actually if it was even that deep, because then I mean, desert island, you can't stop rock and roll, but kind of love.
If I get you like, hey, your dad's not around, but can you sign my Twisted Sister records?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing that sort of annoys me. Like when people share things with me because I'm available. He's not available.
Yeah.
I make myself available. I'm a different person than him. That's okay. He is living a very different life than I do. And maybe I will just make myself less available in the future.
He's fun to watch on Twitter, though, the way he shuts a lot of those trolls down.
But me being available does not mean that, like, I'm available as a fucking messenger to my father. I'm 41 years old with 4 children of my own. Like, what do you think is happening here? I see my father on holidays and it's like, it's not like, go pass him this message, Jesse. Show him this meme. Your dad loves this meme. Are you kidding me? And nowadays I'm blunter. I'm like, please don't shit with me. You, this is a message for my dad. You just sent it to me because you knew I would get back to you and he wouldn't.
So,
send it to him and have echoes, and that's cool. And or not send it to him because you know that he can't do it. Or don't insult me by wasting my time with his shit. I don't care.
Exactly right.
I spend all the time with his shit that I need to, and I do more when I want to, but not that I need other people ringing it in from I love his stuff. I've spent a lot of time, worshiping at that altar. So I mean, I'm plenty good, and I really don't need to be shared. You've seen this. Of course I've seen this. I've watched every interview he ever did. Are you kidding me? I listened to every word that came out of his mouth. It's like, not sharing anything with me I don't know about Dee. I know everything. I edited his fucking book, his freaking bio. I read that book 9 times. By the time I finished reading it, I was like, okay, I've heard all these stories. And not that I don't love them, and I recommend his book and all that shit to everybody. I recommend his music to everybody. My All Favorite Bands Suck, episode number 15 for his birthday on March 15th. I did it on March 15th. It was released on March 15th. Was Dee Snider and Twisted Sister.
Oh, cool.
He's the the primary songwriter there, and I just gushed about him for a fucking hour and a half.
I tripped out with later on in life when I found out he wrote all the music for Twisted Sister. I'm thinking, wow, that's pretty amazing. He comes to the band and just writes everything. It's like, and he did a good job at it, obviously.
Even though they're a great live band. They're really.
I mean, they're one of the greatest.
A long time, one of the greatest.
I still say Dee is one of the greatest, probably if not the best frontman for rock and metal. I mean, the guy is just.
He is the best. I think he's the best, and I'm biased, but I've seen a lot of people, and and I know that I'm better than most of them because I learned fucking best.
Yep,
and it's crazy.
It's in your blood.
There are people who have, aspects of the thing that my dad has, but what he has, in its totality, I mean, from his voice to an ability to just kind of charm you out of your pants in the most direct and straightforward kind of way, just really get to the core of everybody. I've seen 5,000 to 10,000 people jump in unison. Space between the ground and their feet. It hit the ground and it shook the ground. And people jumped up and down and threw their fist in the air. I mean, and it's and you see Ozzy Osbourne come out with a fucking Nerf gun and or water gun. Hey, everybody! Squad! If you're in the front row.
Yep.
It really, and even somebody like Alice Cooper, I know so much about Alice, and granted, I saw Alice when he was older, and when you can see his theatrical shows where he's doing things.
Yeah.
But my dad doesn't need a theatrical thing.
Nope. He is a theatrics.
And he's like the ultimate warrior, when taking the ropes and and before you know it, you're like, oh my God, this motherfucker's on fire.
That's why when he put out those 2 albums with Josta, that's why, when he's talking about doing the metal, the modern thing, I thought he got away with being able to do it in a way to where it just sounded good. In other words, someone else would have done it his age or from his 80s era or whatever. I don't think he could have pulled it off the way he did it with those kind of songs.
For the love of metal. It's great. Yeah. The one they did after that, I like less.
Yeah.
But the first one, For the Love of Metal.
I mean, it's just it's just great.
At first, I was like, whoa, because it was a different department. It was the first time I'd ever heard him doing so much material that he didn't write.
Yeah.
And so that was weird for me. And I like him as a lyricist much better than the lyrics that exist on the album.
Yeah.
But all things concerned, Jamie totally channeled him in a respectful way.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little simpler than what than what he might have written if he was the lyricist situations. And I think maybe the melodies are a little simpler too in those places. But it is absolutely great material, and it's
cool.
Really,
it's cool that he trusted them too to write that, for him. Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, it was really like a departure for me initially. But I've really come to love for that. For the love of metal. That's a good record. But he's made so much great shit. I mean, I'm convinced that he was pushed back by the Illuminati after he went after the PMRC.
I was there.
Cradle that got fucking shelved. And it was an incredible project. A lot of money had been spent, and the thing got shelved. And somebody got fired, he was told, and now the new executive, now they shelved the project, and he couldn't buy it back. And then later on, after that, Widowmaker was like the quintessential 90s metal. It was totally the right place, totally the right time. My dad was a real fan, so he was like on the fucking, the bell curve as it was coming up. And the Widowmaker shit, especially the second album, it should have blown up for that scene. It should have been alongside Pantera and so many other great 90s metal bands. It was very good. And nothing. And I've seen that with so many great projects my father's had over the years, and it's just gone to prove to me that it's like you got to find the shit for yourself, because if you don't, Dee Snider is only shown to you. You only know about him because there was a moment when the fucking Brits put a lot of money into promoting him to a British audience, and they went big over there. And then they decided, since they were successful and made a lot of money on Twisted Sister in England, that they would do it again over here in the United States. And a lot of money was put into making him fucking rich and famous. A lot of money that he had to pay back later. And eventually those bands into fucking poverty as these freaking record labels, went on to make and take advantage of millions and millions of other
they would sign bands, drop them, and then tax write-off,
Yes. So, I mean, it is the tale as old as time. And I mean, that's why I'm out of the system and I'm an independent, contractor. I'm a boutique label, a boutique comic book.
You're doing it all right, man. You're doing everything right.
So, I mean, but I can't do it right if I don't have support. So, if you're out there and, you like the cut of my jib and you believe in this shit, get behind me. The campaign's live now. There's ways to spend more money, and get an executive producer credit and some other credits in the book. You even get drawn into the book as the last president of Glon for $6,969.69.
Definitely.
And if you've got the money and you want to help our company, because I mean, 100,000 is my thing. Because 50 grand is going to go to my buddy. I mean, after expenses, and 50 grand is going to go. But that 50 grand is going to be, it'll end up being like 35 or whatever. Isn't paying for everything and whatever else. And that 35 is going to be all right. Me stabilizing myself for I pay my rent for a fucking month, beyond whatever, and then get this next book going and put money into the coloring for the book that's already been drawn, and then put money into the advertising to start getting the campaign, getting people getting signed up for the notifications and getting it pre-ordered. So it's a whole process, and it takes money to save money.
Yep.
So, it's like I need help right now more than ever. I don't think it's going to be very long until I get to a place where I'm relatively comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's going and it's cool. But getting to that place, it's all about you guys. And please, I deserve it. I've been fucking hustling, trying to get this shit together for years.
When can we expect the first issue to to hit everyone's mailboxes once they
Well, the PDF copy is already available. If you go and you sign up for the thing and you get it, you can PDF immediately, and you can read it. We're probably going to be hopefully sending these out, depending on how long it takes to turn around, by the latest September. I'm hoping to be having them in my hands by the end of August or something.
I'll do a review on it too, because I should have got the PDF before, and that way I could have read it before we got on here. But I'll get that. I didn't know it was available right away, so I'll get that, and I'll maybe after it's out and everything, or once I'll do a video review on it. Yeah,
you do a review right before the show.
Definitely, and that'd be badass. And
I mean the thing is up and available, and I'll send.
How many issues you got planned for it? How many issues?
Well, it's funny. I was just going to do it for the one, and then and just as it was this crazy thing we were doing, but it's just sort of inspired so much. We just keep going okay, this is just so many things are coming out of us that we're just going to keep doing it.
Keep doing it, man.
As long as it's fun, we're gonna do it. So that's like, you know, just the total. I'm sending it to you right now. Yeah, just it's really like when I watch the trailer, I still laugh, ironically, because it's just I never thought I would do anything like this, and I am, and it just seems so crazy. And here I am basically burning my bridges at Marvel and DC by doing something. It feels so good. It feels so me. You know, I'm a punk. I've always been a punk, and like fuck the system. You know, there's a better system where this one came from, and I'm gonna build it if nobody else will. So you know, join me and help us fucking change the world for the better and get this shit done. Thank you so much, Eric, for bringing me on.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being on here, and you know.
And I'm happy to come on again in the future, you know, talk about stuff, you know, Dilf USA and the videos that we've done. If you ever want to come on and talk music and we could go over some of the videos, play the videos, they're fucking funny.
I would love that. I would love that. Yes, definitely.
Who are actually fans of ours. The singer's been wearing our shirt on stage, and we're working on getting some gigs set up, opening up for them. So we're super excited, and like, you know, it's just the beginning with us. We got more videos coming out, so I'd love to get with you again in the future when we got some more shit to talk about.
Look, yeah, dude, you got it going on.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it so much.
Everybody get out there and get fucking for and start fucking for the future, man. We need you.
Oh yeah, man. The sperm counts are getting low.
Getting low, brother. All right. So everyone, be kind to yourselves. I always like to say, be kind to yourself, be kind to everyone else. Because if you're not good to yourself, you're no good to anyone else.
Fuck yes.
Yeah. So
Care Bear stare to you all.
Exactly. So horns up and peace out. Boo.